Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So this is the time of year where we change the mayor and vice mayor. This year, you will be following the procedure that has been spelled out in our city code for, I think, forever, certainly as long as I've been city attorney. As the council knows, and for the public's benefit, this council has switched to district elections. And at this time, we're sort of piecing that together. We have a combination of at-large council members elected in 2020 and 2 districted council members elected in 2022. So as of 2024, we will have a fully districted council, and the council this past year enacted a new process for selecting the mayor and the vice mayor that will be based on the council district. That will start officially at this time next year. So when we meet in December, we will follow that process. But for now, the process is that we have a rotation schedule. And the rotation is based on 2 factors. The first factor is the length of experience on the council. And then if there are council members who are tied, in other words, we have actually 3 council members who are now 3 years in, then we look at the number of votes that were received. And so the second tiebreaker is who received the most votes. Councilmember Meadows was the mayor this year. He will be going to the end of the rotation if we were to follow this process that we have in place. The next member up for mayor on our rotation schedule is current Vice Mayor Williams. And so it is up to the council now to take action, but if we follow the rotation schedule, the action to be taken would be for you to appoint Vice Mayor Williams as your mayor, and that would need to occur by a standard vote.
Okay, with that, I will announce item B, selection of mayor. Do I have a motion?
I would love to nominate Vice Mayor Williams as our next mayor. Make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hey.
Okay, I guess that was unanimous. Thanks, everybody. All right, so now we need to move on to vice mayor. Just kidding.
Yes, so
Sorry,
Madam Mayor, members of the council, so now it is your turn to vote for the vice mayor. The vice mayor basically exercises the authority of the mayor when the mayor is not present or not available. And so the same rotation schedule and tiebreaker would exist. And so the person who would have the next priority would be Dr. Fuller. And so then it would be to follow the rotation schedule, then you would appoint Dr. Fuller as the vice mayor.
Do I have a motion for vice mayor?
I move that we appoint Councilmember Fuller as vice mayor.
Well, I'll second my own nomination.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
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 Okay, so we have a bit of an interpretation issue here, so I will share this. So you've taken a vote not to appoint Dr. Fuller as vice mayor, and so we are, again, under the existing code, not the 2025 process, and let me find that, excuse me. So now we are in code section 2.1005. And so that section does require the rotation to be followed, but there is a letter, paragraph I, that says the council may decline to appoint a member to serve as mayor or vice mayor if a majority of the city council determines that the person has experienced or exhibited any of the following. And then section I gives 6 circumstances. One would be a violation of law or city policy, or that the council member has been or is being investigated for a violation of a law or policy. Number 2 is there has been intemperate, rude, or disparaging remarks or conduct toward the public, staff, or city council. The third circumstance is lack of leadership or communication skills. The fourth circumstance is excessive absenteeism. The fifth circumstance is any other conduct that would be considered to be unprofessional or unbecoming of the position of mayor or vice mayor. And then 6, the determination that the person does not have the available time to assume the additional duties of mayor or vice mayor. So if we are not to follow the rotation, the only way we could permissibly do that is if one of these findings or one or more of these grounds is invoked. I think that would need to be stated on the record. So if you're going to make a motion to appoint somebody else, then you would need to explain the reasons why Dr. Fuller is not being put up because he is the one with the tenure and the tiebreaker. So we would need a record of which, if any of those grounds, is the reason why you're appointing somebody else.
Okay, so from the noes, do we have anybody who would like to make a reason and appoint somebody else?
Item 2, intemperate, rude, or disparaging remarks or conduct toward public, staff, or city council has been
I can't
exhibited.
hear you.
Item number 2, intemperate, rude, or disparaging remarks or conduct toward the public, staff, or city council is my reason.
Can you name one?
If you would like to have a conversation outside of this, I'd rather not.
No, I'd rather have the conversation in public.
I was just asked to name my reason, and that is my reason.
I would expect an explanation, wouldn't you, Mr. Cole?
This is ultimately for the council to decide. So I just want to be clear that if you are going to not appoint as vice mayor the person with the current seniority and tiebreak, which is Dr. Fuller, a motion needs to be made specifying which of the grounds on which you are relying, and then the person that you seek to appoint. There is an ambiguity in our code in that it doesn't say who is appointed vice mayor in this situation. It just says you may not, it says you don't have to appoint the person who's got the rotational seniority, but it doesn't specify, can you just pick any of you, or do you have to go next on the list? And then that presents another interpretation issue because we have Councilmember Shaw and Councilmember Henderson who were elected by district. So if they're on the rotation, then you have that issue we have of, I believe Councilmember Shaw had a write-in candidate as her opponent, and whereas, is that correct? And so Councilmember Henderson had, I believe you had one opponent, Councilmember Henderson. So that was the issue we talked about when we adopted our new rotational standard, is that, one district may have 3 candidates, one district may have 4 candidates, and so going by number doesn't work. So what I would suggest is that if it is the pleasure of the council not to appoint based on the seniority and tiebreak, that somebody specify the reasons under the code, which of these grounds, and that you just appoint. I think you can appoint any member, subject to their willingness if they're appointed.
Councilmember Henderson.
I'll make a motion to appoint Councilmember Shaw as vice mayor based on interpretations of Section E, number 2, number 3, and number 5.
So I just want to put on the record that you may be looking at the code section that applies next year. We're still in section 2.1.005, and so the letter would be section I, and then that has 1 through 6, but it's the same language. And so I just want to clarify, Councilmember Henderson, you're relying on grounds 2, 3, and 5 in subsection I of section 2.1.005. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, I know we have a motion on the floor, but Councilmember Fuller's name lit up, so Councilmember Fuller?
Well, if the nomination for Councilmember Shaw goes through, I would ask that we postpone that until the California Attorney General can review circumstances that regrettably have developed. I have reason to believe, and so do many others, that Councilmember Shaw and Councilmember Henderson laundered their campaign contributions from O'Hara Properties and from De Nova Homes. They sent the donations back, and the California Real Estate Association Political Action Committee, CREPAC, reissued the same amount within a few days to the council member. That allowed them to vote on their projects, especially Mr. Benke's project regarding the McDonald's. SB 1439 was in play, and it did pass, and it was signed by the governor. There was talk that neither Councilmember Shaw nor Councilmember Henderson could vote on the projects at that time. It went to the legislative analyst, and they said they could vote, but at that point, the laundering had already occurred. I did make a sworn complaint with the Fair Political Practices Commission in Sacramento. They reviewed it. The Enforcement Division of the Fair Political Practice Commission elected not to pursue it. I talked to Laura Wagner, that was the handling agent out of the FPPC, and she said they did not elect to pursue it because they did not have the resources. I was not surprised. It's a very complicated, convoluted area involving many, many parties. CREPAC has over $4 million in funds to defend themselves. They did not feel that they had the resources to pursue a proper investigation, and I believe it's going on to the California State Attorney General's office for review to see if there's a criminal prosecution by anyone, and they do have the resources to investigate it. So I would ask that we wait on Councilmember Shaw until there's an opinion coming back from the California Attorney General that it was not laundering, that they will not pursue it. And beyond that, there's an administrative procedure too, but I believe that's where it's going at this time.
Can I go back to the motion now since we have a motion on the floor?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor this is seconding for Councilmember Shaw to be appointed as vice mayor. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
Okay, 4-1. Okay, we will now move on to 5.2, administration of oaths of office to the newly appointed mayor and vice mayor, to be led by Libby Veronis, our city clerk.